with all the big calls on all the big races. Welcome back to another weekend's What a Shout. Myself, Dave Orton, back in the seat somewhere in the capital on Friday morning. Promised to bring you a big guest this week. We have got one, but we've also got the biggest pundit in town. Paul Kealy comes back on and joins me. Keels, you're nearly about to go on holiday, but still full of revs, are you?
He's had a big guest this week, I say. We've got the fat bloke sitting next to me. Nice big guest.
Got a big pundit as well.
I've got a couple of weeks off after next week. Not doing anything special, just I got told, hang on a minute, you haven't taken any yet this year.
All right, okay, so we're going to lose you for a little bit.
You know what it's like with COVID, don't you? Know where to go, and I can't be bothered with all this. Don't want to do any isolating, don't want to get them on the green list and the amber list and the red list. It drives you mental, innit? So,
but you do fancy a lot this weekend?
Yeah, it's funny. I got battered around a bit at York, but came out of it at the right end, had a winner on the final day, and I'm surprisingly bullish. I managed to find 6 horses for Friday and another half a dozen tomorrow as well. So looking forward to it. Yeah.
The scattergun is out. Okay, all right, for Paul Kealy. What about Pat Cooney? Where is he, Pat? In the home office again?
Yes, absolutely. In Stoke-on-Trent. Dull and overcast if you're coming up here for a day out. But all good, thank you.
Okay, great stuff. Now, let's get straight to it then. 2-time champion jockey, somewhere in Newmarket, Oisin Murphy joins us.
Good morning, guys. I hope everyone's well.
We are well, Oisin. Not as well as you, my man. I mean, listen, unbelievable. You're in search of a third straight championship. It looks like that's going to be the case. Pat will bring you in here. Something tells me you've not even got a market on it anymore, man.
No, we finished betting on the event at the moment, and Oisin is bowling along merrily in the lead. And I think if he stays suspension-free, then he'll be over the winning line yet again.
Oh, you didn't want to hear that, Oisin, did you? No offers from the bookies now.
No, unfortunately, I'm not riding today at Newmarket as I have a ban, but I'm back again this weekend at Goodwood Saturday and Sunday. So I'll keep kicking and hopefully finish the season as well as I can.
Yeah, it's not just champion in the saddle, Oisin. Since people have been going back out racing on May the 17th, the amount of people that have come up to me and said, you know, the one jockey that will always stop and have a picture, always stop and have a chat at the races is Oisin. So just keep doing what you're doing, Oisin. You understand the media world as well, don't you? It was last year, of course, in COVID. Was it on the way back from Newmarket that you sat there with your mobile phone and basically critiqued your own rides in the car on the way back? You opened up a whole new world there. Can of worms, some jockeys said.
Perhaps it was interesting because I really liked a couple of those 2-year-olds. And just looking back on it, one of them was Tactical, who went on to win at Royal Ascot, but he got beat that day. So I think it helps being honest, and just giving people an insight is always a good way of doing things.
Yeah, we've teased that you're coming on this week, Oisin, and Twitter's gone mad and people getting questions in everywhere. One of them was, should jockeys be interviewed after losing rides and things like that, like they do in Australia and stuff. It's the simple answer to that is, guys, get on Oisin's Twitter. You'll have it all for yourself. Oisin, this year couldn't really have gone much better, could it? As of Thursday then, that was yesterday, quickfire double at Chelmsford on the Thursday you rode. I make it 1,191 career winners, 135 this year. And it's fair to say that August has been hot, man.
Well, I've been going well, but I'm riding for great people, and the horses have been healthy, which is the key. Percentage-wise, I've never been as hot, but I need to keep that up into September. And, there will come a stage where the bullet will begin to lessen. We won't have as many horses to fire at these sort of races, but hopefully going into the better races into September, I've got lots of good opportunities with Alcohol Free. I suppose she's going to come back in October for Kipco Bills Champions Day, but Dragon Symbol in particular is going to go to Ireland for the Flying Five, and those good 2-year-old races are coming up thick and fast. So it'd be nice to find some stars for next year.
I've already been teased, then Oisin doing my job for me. It goes without saying that when you go racing at the minute, Kills, punters just expect Oisin to carry one home at least, don't they?
Well, yeah, he's doing it. I mean, it's funny enough, I was at Sandown the other day and some guy bumped into me and he said, what do you fancy? And I said, I fancy a couple. I said, but Oisin Murphy's here, he's not at York, you've got to back, you want to back a couple. And then and he backed a winner, and he said, well, I saw the bloke later. He said, well done, mate, thanks for that. And I said, I never backed it.
Right.
It wasn't the one I fancied. You know what I mean? But, yeah, booted him home on a regular basis at a really, really high strike rate. I mean, hottest man, as a punter, you pay a premium for having Oisin Murphy on your side. You might get slightly less of a price than you should do, but for many people, it's a price they're willing to pay at the moment, and why not? Because that strike rate is red hot.
Yeah, it's a golden era of jockeys, as I said to the great legend Mikey Holding last week on the show. Oisin, top of the pile. Oisin, you mentioned alcohol-free. Let's get a graphic up on the screen. What we're looking at now in the viewers is your top horses by Racing Post rating. Now, Roaring Lion, memories of him, of course, recently at York, and the Jub Monty when he went on that lovely four-timer in the Group 1s, Irish Champion Stakes. But you also got horses like Kamiko on there for your retainership. Qatar, Benbatl, we're going to get a word about him with you later on. He comes back out to play this weekend at Goodwood. There were some very interesting horses down the list. Alcohol-free, I suppose, this year has been the top of them. But the one that I would like to talk to you about most, Oisin, is a horse that most people would consider not your ride, and that's Starman, right at the bottom. Now, Tom Marquand, this is usually his ride for Ed Walker, but at York, of course, in the Duke of York Stakes, at the Dante meeting, he had to ride for his retainership, Mr. Haggis, of course, and you just touched him off on the heart on Starman. That must have been a lovely feather in your cap. But what I'm really interested in, Oisin, and perhaps the viewers out there as well might like a word on this, Dragon Symbol, the horse that perhaps could have made what was an incredible ride Ascot even better for you, had the stewards not taken that away from you, of course, in the sprint that day. Can he reverse the form with that chap, or is Starman top of the pile?
No, I wasn't. I obviously had the choice in the July Cup, and I chose the wrong horse, but I wasn't happy with Dragon Symbol going to post. He didn't move great. He was very sweaty in the paddock, and I kind of said to Archie afterwards he wasn't at his best. And to be honest, I was very happy with him at his last start in the Nunthorpe, and I think he's back to his best. He was very chill going to post. He ran straight and through, and I think the best days are yet to come. His next two races, provided he's healthy, is going to be the Flying Five at the Curragh, which I'd imagine he'll go off favourite for. The track should be ideal. I just hope for a decent draw. And then the Prix de l'Abbé at Longchamp, which I know is a very fast 5, but autumn ground should suit him, and it'd just be lovely to finish off his season strongly, because he's never been out of the frame, and he's a top class horse, and he's one I stuck by, and I hope will be rewarded.
Yeah, it's surely a matter of time before he gets that deserved actual Group 1 win next to his name, doesn't it? You mentioned, of course, the L'Abbé there. Now, at the moment, the one horse on your CV this year perhaps is that middle distance horse, the Mile 4 horse. But there is a ride in the Arc that perhaps we should be looking a bit closer at. And of course, you're associated with Japan. You've won the Japan Cup. Is you feel still in its ascendancy. Who's the horse you would put for in the Arc, Oisin?
I ride a filly called Chronogenesis that European racing fans might have seen running in Dubai when she was second to Mishrif. I rode Love's Only You that day, and I finished third. But then Love's Only You went on to Hong Kong and won the Group 1, and I couldn't go because of COVID. But I ride Love's Only You in the Breeders' Cup fillies and mares. So I've been booked for these Japanese horses a long way in advance, and they're top class. And just touching again on Chronogenesis, she's the best middle distance horse in Japan. My dream when I watched kind of Christophe Soumillon riding Orfèvre and hitting the crossbar was one day, if I ever got the chance, was to win the Arc for Japan, and hopefully I'll be able to do it.
Oh, Fevre, he hit the crossbar, the stanchion, the line, it came back out. Hawkeye pulled him back out. It was as close as it got, wasn't it? Pat Cooney, let's bring you in there. Of course, we're looking at all the top horses like Snowfall, Adayar, Mishrif, of course, for the Arc. Is this one that could be going under the radar?
Very much so, and I'm intrigued by her. She's got that lovely line of form with Mishrif, and she look at the prize money she's won. She's won over £5 million in prize money, so it has to be taken seriously. But I have one question for Oisin about her chances. We tend to associate these horses with wanting fast ground. Is that the case with her? Would she be fast ground dependent? Which is no gimme, of course, come Arc Day.
No, sure. You're nearly guaranteed autumn ground, good to soft. At least she has won a soft ground Group 1, and it's slightly different over there. It's soft on top, and still there's a pretty firm base underneath. But I'll be very hopeful she get away with it. As a type, she's very light framed, and she floats across the ground. Snowfall, in my opinion, will be very hard to beat, but Chronogenesis is the best Japan has to offer, and I'm thrilled to be getting the leg up on her.
There you go. Okay, of course, we were talking off air just before we came in, just before we wrap this up, this wonderful intro. We could price the stuff, we could go on forever. I said, he just, this year just needs that Mile 4 horse. Could it be the Arc? And you said, what about Roaring Lion, of course? It was, now departed.
He won a Jub Monty. I mean, he danced every dance, basically. Ran the Guineas, ran in the Derby, and was really tough. Came back and won the QE2 on ground that he really wasn't supposed to like, and really gutsed it out. I mean, he was a tough horse. I like Roaring Lion a lot.
Yeah, Oisin, just a quick word on that chap, of course. Memories of him at York recently, that wonderful York Festival, the Jub Monty. It was, I suppose this is the best horse you've ridden, right?
Yeah, I think no doubt about it. Benbatl's right up there as well. If he didn't have his health issues, I think, we'd have had some more brilliant days with him. But Roaring Lion in the Judmont was unbelievable. And the win from where he was in the Irish Champion Stakes, he really got me out of trouble. He was a champion.
Yeah, absolutely. He was, and a nod to him. And again, look out there on the social media. You can see all those replays in your members section as well. All right, let's have a look at exactly what's coming up on the show then. We've got hot topics for you. The panellists will be picking them out and giving a word on what has been a rather busy and hot news week. We'll be giving you six big race previews. All the good stuff. Oisin, of course, got massive chances at Goodwood. We'll be getting a word on his rides there. And of course, those all-important weekend winners. Hot topics. Let's get into them then. Loving this news section each week. All right, you can see on your screen there are six of them. It's been such a busy news week. I thought some of them were certain to be at top of the pile, but it's fair to say that since this week broke, let's give this one to Oisin, the one meeting rule. Now, a brief bio on this, if you don't know what it's about. Basically, when COVID hit and the pandemic last year, it was basically restricted jockeys to riding at only one meeting, mainly because of the travel. Now, all sorts of positives, maybe some negatives as well, but it's been confirmed this week by the BHA, Oisin, that until at least the end of 2022, so for the best part of next year and a half, jockeys like yourself can only ride at one meeting. So Goodwood, obviously, on Saturday for you. You're bound to have something to say about this, Oisin, I'm sure, being a retained jockey for Sheikh Fahad in Qatar.
Yeah, I suppose it's not entirely helpful for the likes of me or William Buick, James Doyle, Kieran Fallon, Jim Crowley, because, if you can ride at an afternoon meeting and get to an evening meeting sensibly, whether that means by helicopter, a small plane, or in a car, and you're not doing anything, life-threatening, racing to get there by car on the road, then I really find it's not ideal. But I see the positives for the vast majority of jockeys. The opportunities opened up to them from me not being able to go to that second meeting, and particularly on the big days where on Saturday, ordinarily, I would be going from Goodwood to Windsor to ride in the Winter Hill Stakes. And this year I can't do that. And there are guys getting good opportunities as a result. And from an unselfish point of view, I think that's good for everyone else. And it's obviously not ideal for a very small section. But that's my honest view on it.
Isn't it interesting, Kills, just very quickly from you, it's not just the jockeys that will be thinking about this, it's now, of course, the trainers, it's connections as well. I want Oisin to ride my horse.
I'm a little bit uneasy about it myself. I mean, it's restraint of trade, really, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Strong words have been said about it this week.
But, people have got a right to go about their job the best they can, and some of the top jockeys can't do that now. And obviously it does give other opportunities, and there is talk about, if you shouldn't be going from one end of the country to another to ride in two meetings. And, but we had cases where people would fly to Ireland, didn't we?
Oisin, did you want to jump in there?
That is the thing, guys. In 2019, I did 3 occasions. I went from England to France or vice versa. I remember going from Sean P for Ed Walker and then to Kempton for Ed Walker. And I remember going Martin Mead when I won on Technician at Longchamp. I rode at Newbury for him in the afternoon and Longchamp in the evening. And actually, I can still do that. I can still travel between 2 countries, but I can't do Ascot and Salisbury with 5 hours in between my rides, which is extraordinary.
Yeah, can you do Ireland?
I think I can, Paul. Yeah, right. So looking at Irish Champions weekend, and normally the Irish Champion Stakes is in the evening. If I was lucky enough to pick up a ride in that race, well, then I hope I'll be able to do meeting in England in the afternoon and Leopardstown in the evening.
Wow, isn't that amazing? So I couldn't go from Chelmsford to Lingfield last night. We could have gone to, that is something, isn't it? All right, let's move on quickly. Lots will keep raging about this, no doubt, the welfare issue. People will be saying, what about COVID and the travel and all that sort of stuff? We do balance it out here, but interesting take for the champion jockey there. Kills, this week, there have been some of the racing brains, shall we say. Now, after Lady Bowthorpe's win, a Group 1 win, well deserved, owner Emma Banks, really good for the sport, the big musical agent, of course, came out and said, racing has a massive self-doubt problem. Just market the sport. Rod Street, of course, the GBR, the Great British Racing Supremo, then came out with a rather long thread. Rod, you did put a health warning on it, of course. 20 points about how we should be looking at it and trying to explain it and stuff. Where do you sit with this, Gills?
Well, I find it very difficult because I'm somebody who's followed racing since I was a kid, and pretty much everything about it appeals to me anyway. I love going racing. I love going seeing horses in paddock. I love going seeing the jockeys and trainers up close, and the good ones who will stop, like Oisin, who will stop and talk and sign autographs and have selfies and all that. That all adds to it. I don't want to see it dumbed down. I mean, you see some sort of explanation. We did have people there explaining what the whip was before, didn't we? We had stalls and all that, and. I love to sell racing as, look, betting is integral to it, whether you like it or not. But I like to sell it. It is a puzzle. It's a sport.
Don't demystify.
It's a sporting event. Don't demystify. Actually, tell people. And we've got, all sports nowadays. You're getting bombarded with stats. Now, racing did this first, really.
Do you remember Tic Tac? The late John McCurry. People used to come up to me and say, "What's that he's doing? I absolutely love it." And if you could read the form book, it's like you're in your own secret little club, isn't it? So I agree. Clever people in marketing think we shouldn't demystify racing.
It's not team events. That sort of stuff doesn't work. I think, look, your one-off Sugar Cup, I think is okay. It's a one-day event, and it's set. 4 jockeys in each team, 6 races. That's it. The Racing League doesn't do it for me. I can't. We have teams that we have sponsors, or teams that we've never actually heard of, for companies that didn't exist before that came along. We have commentary now. We all love Enzo. Right? I think he's a very, very good commentator, but he's clearly been told
under banana skin for Enzo, wasn't it?
Under instruction to call out the team name. So and so, Bullion Vault.
He knew he was going to get a bit of heat about that, by the way.
You're going to look. I don't blame any of the people. If you work for Sky Racing and you are contracted to go to that meeting and this is what you're covering, you've got to give it enthusiasm. You have to. It's your job. You know what I mean? We all do things that we might not necessarily agree with. I can't believe any of them really actually believes that this is a good idea. It's not.
You've been very vocal about that this week. Let's come back to you, because that was going to be Pat's.
Oh, was it?
Pat's pick. Pat wanted to talk about this.
Sorry, Pat.
Well, listen. I can some breaking news for the next 2 weeks. Pat Cooney is going to be in this studio with us, Pat. So you can steal these off him like he's stealing them off you, Pat. But the Racing League coming in for loads of heat, unlike the Sunday series.
Yeah, the Racing League, it looks as though they're running out of horses as well, doesn't it? I think at Lingfield, the last race on Thursday, and then there was only 8 runners. So, there were strict rules as to what horses would be eligible for the races. So that would be a concern. They haven't got it right, have they? They're going forward, they might need to have a bigger pool of horses to pick from. We weren't thinking we were going to be getting 8-runner races. The camera angles at Lingfield last night, I just found very, very strange. I get it, trying to be innovative and so forth. But Team Goat, Team this, Team that, it's just all Greek to me, really. But I do like the idea, certainly with a bookmaking representative hat on. They're competitive handicaps. So, it's hard to find winners. It's good competitive racing. It just doesn't float my boat. The Sunday series, that's a little bit different. That's got a nice spot, I think. Starting half 3 on a Sunday afternoon, good races. Even then, I was a little bit surprised. The opening race at Sandown and live on ITV on Sunday afternoon just last week was an unraced 2-year-old race. I mean, in terms of turnover and so forth, that was going to be a non-starter in many respects. So maybe that would be something to look at going forward. I don't think you really needed to start with an unraced 2-year-old race to start proceedings off. Turnover in that race was particularly low. I'm sure you could have found another handicap. So getting there, I'm more of a Sunday series fan than I am a Racing League fan. But yes, I get it. The new prize money coming in. It's good for those who are involved, isn't it?
There you go. The world is getting back to normal. London crazy again. Loads of race goes up and a bookmaker moaning. Happy days. Let's give Oisin Murphy then a final word on this. Oisin, what do you jocks think about all of the clever people, if you like, as they call themselves, owners putting their tuppence in, Great British Racing, BHA thinking about it? Are we overcomplicating things, as your great peer and friend Tom Marquand suggested in the week?
There's a lot of talk, but very little solution. And I can compare racing to other sports. Do all of us follow League One football? But we have a passing interest in Premiership football. The fact we have 5 meetings on a weekday in England, it's very hard to get the buzz about racing every single day. It has to be something that people want to go and watch and enjoy. In Australia and Japan, they have their big racing twice a week. In Australia, in Melbourne in particular, they have like a Wednesday night or a Friday night. And then at the weekend, in Japan, they have the Saturday, Sunday. They have everyday racing as well, but they don't promote it. The prize money isn't that big. They don't get too excited about it. But the big days, they really push. And that's where their turnover is massive. And I honestly think we cannot, no matter how hard we try, push the everyday racing to get like 20,000 people to a Linkfield, Wolverhampton, Salisbury, wherever that is, on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The big days we can promote, and I can do that on my own social media. So can all the other jockeys, and so can the bookmakers and racecourses on mainstream media. So people who mightn't come into contact with racing or see horses, we can engage with them, and then they may say, oh, let's go racing to Ascot on Saturday, or let's go to York, or let's go to Doncaster, where these large pools of people are in. Because I promise you, if they have a positive experience and we don't overcharge them on getting into the races, and food and drink isn't over expensive, then they will come back, because horses are beautiful. It's as you pointed out earlier, it's an incredible puzzle that people like to figure out. Some people are very basic. They pick a colour, their favourite silks, colour of a horse, their favourite number. All that drags people in, and so much to offer, genuinely.
I think we'll just leave it there, shall we? You got the word from the champion jockey himself. Let's get some big race previews in, shall we? Champion jockeys staying with us for these, because in the 150, the Prestige Stakes, Group 3 for 2-year-olds over 7 furlongs. Always a really interesting race, this. There's some unexposed fillies. None more so, I suppose, Oisin, the Mise-en... how do I pronounce this name, Oisin? Help me out here.
Mise-en Scene. I was thrilled with her at Haydock. Her work had been good, and she gave me a lovely feel. This is obviously a huge step up in class. I really like Andrew Boulding's filly in the race. I rode her on Wednesday. Was bought by David Redvers as well. She's by No Nay Never. Buick rode her at Goodwood to win, because I had to ride for Qatar. And I think she's very smart. Her name's Wilderness Girl. She will be better on slow ground, but I think she could go very well, very close. And I hope I'm on the right one, but let's see.
Well, let's get some help from Keels then. Having spoken to Michaeli Michelle and Michael Holding in the last couple of weeks, I was not going to take the hospital pass of getting that horse pronunciation wrong, I can tell you that much.
Hard, was it?
Oh, wait, I tell you,
I think about Mise-en-Scene, I think the ones behind her haven't really done much for the form since. I mean, she's done it really well. She's entitled to come on, but then we've got a lot of horses that are very unexposed. Wilderness Girl was backed off the boards at Goodwood, wasn't she? I mean, and she was
perfectly placed that day, wasn't she? She had the inside run.
Yeah, she had it perfect. I would just say that the top horses, Danae and Hello You, they've got easily the best form. It's just that nothing has really come out and jumped.
Danae has got strong form lines.
Nothing has gone out and said this is absolutely top class. So these more lightly raced, and I actually really liked Clitheroe's run at Newbury.
St Albans Bloodstock horse.
And they pay 590 grand at the breeze up, so that's an incredible amount of money. Now, she was very green, she didn't get a run, and it took time for the penny to drop. I asked David Simcock whether she was going to run earlier in the week, and he said, look, very much looking forward to it. I let the price run away from me. Because I missed it all completely, 14-1 down to 5.
She's short from Maiden.
And now she's got stall 10. Yeah. Which isn't easy. I came down on the side of Hello You as the most likely winner because it's got the best draw, but it's not a race I'll be going mad in, and as I'm going to stick with the tip for Clitheroe because that's what I put in the weekend.
I'll be watching the race with you in this studio on Saturday, and I think you are going to rue jumping off Value Theory for Mark Johnson.
Do you?
Targets this race. Yes, Joe Fanning gets on. I think if she'd have gone a bit harder at Newmarket on the July course, she was coming back at the finish. I think that form will come and hold sway. Pat Cooney, a final word from you.
Yeah, Dana has certainly, in my opinion, got the best form lines, and that would be my selection, albeit narrowly. But, it's an intriguing race. I can say Clitheroe was definitely the best back during the week anti-post, and probably could be marked as an unlucky loser. Hard race to assess this one. There's many horses who are going to go forward from their previous runs. I'd just take Dana, but I wouldn't be surprised if she ran well and 2 or 3 went by her.
Okay then, really, really interesting. That is the 150 at Goodwood. Still on the July course at Newmarket, delighted to say one of 2 days this week is the Saturday. Perhaps the best race on the card is the 245, the listed Hopeful Stakes. Plenty of characters here, Pat Cooney.
Yeah, there are, aren't there? It's a mixed bag, isn't it? The stats are no good to anybody here. 3-year-olds win it, 6-year-olds win it, and a good mix of results. You know, we've had favourites and outsiders win. So a tricky one to solve, really. Tabdeed is the favourite, but you look at what he is overall. He's the best horse in the race, top rated, good last run. But, you know, there's other horses in this race. If they turn up and ran to their best level of form, that would be better than Tabdeed. So you look at something like Mum's Tipple, who looked sensational at York a few years ago. Royal Scimitar could as well. So this is a favourite. You could say he's a bit of a flaky favourite in terms of price. If you like consistent horses, he's your boy. I actually like a horse, Royal Crusade, in the race, who I think we all had classic aspirations for him as a juvenile. He's been gelded since he ran last time out. Charlie Appleby, William Buick. I'd rather be taking a horse like him for my money than the solid, consistent Tabdeed, who will run well, but it's got a vulnerable look about him, I think.
Okay, let's go to Kills on this one. Now, you said to me that there are a lot of favourites on this Saturday which have got solid claims. You expect a lot of them to win. Can you get them beat, which is your MO? I tried to do that with the horse that Pat just mentioned there, Royal Crusade. Of course, he met Tabdeed last time when we were together previewing the race at Newbury. I think losing 2 marbles is not going to be enough for him to reverse that form. I think Tabdeed wins this.
I can get him beat.
Who with?
Yes, I am looking forward to this race. Now, the thing about Tabdeed, right, he's rated 110, so he's officially the best in the race by 3, but obviously he's getting 5 off Summergand, who's penalised for his Group 1 win earlier in the season, beat Oxted. Problem with Tabdeed, why, as a horse at the age of 6, who's been really fragile and hard to train, he's had 4 breaks of 250 days or more in his career. Why has he never run on an undulating track? Why has every single run of his life been on the flat track? The nearest he has got to an undulating track was Nottingham in 2018, which has a couple of humps and bumps about halfway. And they were enough for Dane O'Neill to mention them afterwards.
Right.
So he hit a few undulations, and for a horse like that who is A, fragile, and B, has been kept to flat tracks, he's now suddenly turning up on very fast ground and running up and downhill at Newmarket. The first furlong was up and the rest is down, and the next 3-4 is down, and then it's up. I worry about him on this track.
Okay.
And I think Summergand has been underrated because he's got those 3 duck eggs next to his name. Now, I think he was out of form and outclassed in the July Cup and the big race, the Diamond Jubilee at Ascot. But go and watch the Stewards Cup.
He caught my eye again in that, which is the race he won last year.
He was defending his title. He was only 12 for 24. He'd beaten 5 and a bit lengths, but he spent the entire race on the bridle looking for a run and was making ground hand over fist, despite only being gently nudged out in the end because he was never going to get near him. I think he's back in full. Now that out of sorts run in the July Cup is the only time in 7 starts that he's been out of the first 2 on either track at Newmarket. So I think he's definitely worth another chance. He looks like me, he's coming back into form. And, like I say, beat Oxted early in the season. Wasn't a million miles behind Starman at York. He's got decent form to his name. And I think he's the one that can beat a lot of them.
Yeah, he's going to be popular. I looked at him, and he was obviously touched off in this race last year, so he's following his same plan, isn't he, for David O'Mara? But it's the penalty that put me off.
Yeah, the penalty is an issue. It doesn't make things easy. But I just looked at the others and I thought, well, Royal Crusade is he that good a horse? And I think Tabdeed's there to be shot at on this ground. Could be wrong. He's one of those that it could be handled. It could be nothing in it at all. But he's a 6-year-old who's never run on anything other than the flat track. Now, is there a reason?
Yeah, I just thought getting back on this better ground, Kills, is exactly what he wants. So we will find out about the track. Will he or won't he? Tabdeed. 3 o'clock. another Group 3 coming up for you, this time for 3-year-olds over the mile 6. And it's fair to say that Nagano will be a warm order here. But let's bring in Oisin, because Classic Lord arrives here on a hat-trick for Andrew Balding. Oisin, you know this horse well. You also know Juan de Montalban well, because he's now been sold for a whopping price to David O'Mara and new ownership. If you had the choice?
Juan de Montalban, I think on ratings, the track mightn't be ideal for him. He's a massive horse. Going up and down wouldn't be to his liking, but it looks the right race. Classic Lord is an improver, but he's got to improve a lot to get involved here. I think Nagano will be very hard to beat.
Okay, all right. Nagano will be very hard to beat, says Oisin Murphy. Kills, do you concur? I do.
Yeah, I think you know, that win here was very good. I am a fan of Classic Lord. I think he's tough. I think he's game. He really sticks his head out. He did so at Sandown. He is only rated 90, and he is improving only in small steps. But he does have a course win to his name, and you know I wouldn't be entirely against him at the price.
What I worry is that they could take each other on here, Kills. You've got Dance King in here as well, who probably is going to go and do, because Subjectivist took this, of course, on terrible ground last year for Mark Johnson, and he's coming out again, isn't he, after just failing to give weight to a filly at Chester last week. I was all over him that day. Tactically, could this just set up for Nagano? He'll sit and wait.
It could easily do so, and he's the right favourite without a doubt. I've had a couple of quid on Classic Lord, though. I think, you know, I just think he's a horse that's going to keep on improving, and whether he does it fast enough is another matter altogether. But it won't do him any damage. You know, he could probably do with a win if they want to run in the Says, to be fair, because he's only rated 90, which means he'd have squeezed in last year only just with the £10 that they get. But I think he's a very strong stayer.
All right, Pat Cooney.
Keep an eye on whatever.
Nagano, can he go odds on?
I think there's a chance he'll go odds on. Whether he wins remains to be seen. I think Dancing King is a solid enough chance, and as a horse, he could just get the front run, couldn't he? Mark Johnson's won this the last 2 years. Unusually for a Mark Johnson, he has missed the break a few times. That shouldn't obviously be a worry over a mile and 6. But you got Joe Fanning making all round Goodwood. That sounds okay to me, but Nagano definitely the one to beat. He's a very solid favourite. But if Mark Johnson's won this the last 2 years, he's just got the one runner this time, and maybe he's a value alternative.
A range of opinions and in a race with a hot pot. Next year's Cup horses, I think we're going to see them in the 3 o'clock. 3:15. Shall we go to Beverley for the Bullet? Oh yes, one of my favourite sprints of the entire year. Why? Because the old warriors go up against each other. We've got former winners, former beaten horses in the race, and a couple of up-and-comers as well. Wide open market, Pat Cooney.
Yeah, absolutely. And the market is headed at the moment by Judicial, followed by Dakota Gold. And those two won the last 2 renewals of this race. So Judicial was a 9-year-old, Dakota Gold a 7-year-old. You might think, well, they're too old to win. Not in this race. Border Scott won this as I think he was 10. Take Cover won this. How old was he? He was 10, and then he won as an 11-year-old. Marex won at 8. So these sprinters, they rock up here and year after year. They always run their races, and there's solid claims once again. So you're looking for an experienced horse who likes the track, albeit with a good draw as well. Judicial's in 5, Dakota Gold's in 10, so that's how the market heads there. No, far from a match. There's plenty of horses in with decent chances. I actually thought at the start of the week I can see Hurricane Ivor winning this, granted a good draw. I marked him as an unlucky loser at York in a competitive handicap. He ended up stalled 12 for 12. And I thought, well, maybe that's not such a bad draw then, because Tom Marquand going to Beverley, remember, on a Saturday. That must tell a story in itself. I can see that one winning, and the price is holding up because of the draw. So Hurricane Ivor appeals to me. I keep trying to fancy Lampang, who's in stall 2, and he's been an unlucky loser in the fact that he's been slow away in his last 2 starts. But then I'm thinking, hang on, if you're slow away over 6 furlongs, you're now going over 5 furlongs. And if you're slow away at Beverley in stall 2, you're going to be last with a wall of horses in front of you. So Tom Marquand, the canny ride, swooping on the outside on Hurricane Ivor for me.
Yeah, he makes a very good point about Tom the Pom, doesn't he, going up to Beverley on a Saturday. A couple of things. If you're new to racing, you're not sure about Beverley, it used to be a highway, didn't it? A low draw. Hurricane Ivor in 12 was enough to put me off, I've got to be honest.
It's not so much. It's not so much now. You do see horses rattling down the outside these days, don't you? I mean, it does happen. It hasn't put me off at all. Actually, I thought I pretty much agreed with every single word Pat said.
It was a good, one of his golden previews.
It was like, I might as well leave the door now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was perfect.
He's coming in next week. You can put our feet up.
No, it was great. No, it's absolutely bang right. I had him down as an unlucky user, and he ran into two absolute bang York specialists. Got a bump at the start, ran short of room as well.
Yeah.
And I thought he was going nowhere here, and then he suddenly really picked up a really stiff 5 furlong. Okay, it's 5.5 at York, but this is one of the stiffest 5 furlongs in Britain.
Yeah.
It'll absolutely suit down the ground. The 12 is going to get dropped in anyway. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like he wants to get out and get onto the rail. Like, you know
I have seen good things beaten in this race before.
Oh, there's no good, there's no good thing in this race anyway, is there? It's 4-1 the field for a reason. I just favoured Judicial over Dakota Gold over the last 2 winners because of the ground, which is going to be drying out all the time. But I like Hurricane Ivor. Lampang I backed at 33-1 for the Great St Wilfrid.
Saw your eyes.
And yeah, he didn't show enough for me there.
No. It's one of those that you're just waiting to come back.
You know, I mean, you know, I'll have a dozen horses that win sometime in the year that I'll be shake my head and shake
Hurricane Ivor on top.
But yeah, Hurricane Ivor is the one for me.
All right, you mentioned the veterans, of course. And listen, this is the Beverley Bullet. People will be thinking, why are they going on so much about this race? It is an absolute cracker. ITV will be looking forward to covering this.
The best race on Saturday on ITV, I reckon.
Well, there you go. You've just had that from Kills. And I said I've seen a good thing beaten in this race before. You mentioned the old timers. You haven't mentioned the winner. 'Tis Marvellous. Indeed, for Clive Cox.
He was Hurricane Ivor at Ascot.
He was a good thing beaten in this behind Judicial 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, whenever it was. And last time at the Shergar Cup, we saw the real 'Tis Marvellous. That was probably his cup final. But once again, he won that race and then came to this. So the owners are following the same pattern, quite rightly so. He's got a nice draw. And you watch back that Shergar Cup, he may be 7, but the way he travelled through that, he took it up too soon, probably on the wrong side as well. He was valued for a lot further than that diminishing margin. I am very keen on 'Tis Marvellous. What a race. It's the Bullet. It will be over in a flash. 3:35, the big one then this weekend. It is the Group 2 Celebration Mile. And will he, won't he? We've been thinking all week. Benbatl, currently the top of Bet365's market. And Oisin, one of your favourite horses, your first ever Royal Ascot winner.
Yeah, special horse to me. He's a real dude. They brought him along slowly. I didn't gallop him recently. They wanted me to ride him, but I was up in York. So hopefully he's in good form, but I'm sure he wouldn't be running if they weren't thrilled with him. He's way better than these if he's anywhere near his best. And, you know, hopefully he'll jump and I can get on somewhere near the front end. That's his style of racing. And, yeah, hopefully he's too good for them.
You mentioned earlier in the show you'd like to see him over a mile first time out. Interestingly, when you look at this great horse's stats, only had 3 attempts going around a right-handed bend. He's won one of them. Is there any reason for that, or are we looking too much into it, Oisin?
No, you're looking too much into it. It's just literally what races he's ran in. You know, Dubai and Germany, his 2 Group 1 wins were left-handed, and yeah, he's got no issues going either way.
All right, and of course, remember he had a great crack at Winks, didn't he, as well? Keels?
Yeah, it's one of those. I mean, I'd say in my column tomorrow, I mean, there's a couple of favourites running who have got such standout claims that you could easily see them winning very easily, but you can also find reasons for opposing them. And Benbatl, he's a horse that has been underrated in the past. I remember when Oisin rode him at Newmarket a couple of years ago, he was 4-1, second favourite. He was actually 6-1 in the morning. Right, and the 6-5 favourite was King of Comedy. And he was the same price as UAE Jewel. He was rated 108 at the time when Benbatl was rated 123. Like, you know, and it was crazy. Of course, he won by about 6 lengths doing handsprings. He is coming, he's a 7-year-old. He's obviously been hard to train. He's coming off a long layoff. He has won first time out every calendar year he's raced. I mean, some of those have been very early in the year rather than late. I don't know. I mean, what I can say about the other horses is I think Chindit's a flat track horse. I don't think Goodwood will suit it. I don't think he's handled Newmarket.
To win over the mile.
I don't think he's handled Newmarket particularly well. Mutabarsik is a joke price on ratings. He beat a horse rated 84 last time at Haydock because the other 2 ran below form. And The handicapper actually ignored that run for the 84 rated horse, who then finished only 4th in a handicap off that mark. So that form is, not worth the paper it's written on. I'd like to ask Oisin, actually, because other than those two, you've actually ridden most of the others, haven't you? Which would you say would be the biggest danger?
Yeah, to be honest, I think if Benbatl is anywhere near his best, he'll just be too good for them. But interesting, the Sheikh Hamdan horse, Muda Sabek, when he got on fast ground at Newmarket, his first run of the year over 7, I actually was quite impressed with his speed and the way he kept going. I know he's had a few bad runs since, but was that on slow ground? He didn't run great last time. I know he won, but was that on slowish ground? I just think on fast ground, he is a better horse.
Get the feeling that
Right,
Jim Crowley likes him as well. We've had Charlie Hills on the show not that long ago, and he talked well of him. You know who's interesting in this race? I can't tip him because I can't do it to myself. But the old hazardous Duke.
Well, that's what I
Duke
tipped.
Have you gone for it?
Yeah.
He's in stall 1.
Well, listen,
and the Doyler's on. That's the interesting bit. His Goodwood record is great.
He's in stall 1. He's got fast ground. He actually shaped quite well behind Real World. He doesn't quite get home. Well, he didn't quite get home over that trip.
They've had tearing their hair out of the coals about this.
Very fast ground suits him very well. He's run 5 times at Goodwood. The only time he disappointed was on soft in this race last year when he was only 5th of 6. But he won the race 2 years ago. And his only defeat otherwise was when second to Space Blues. No, I'm not saying he'd win. If Benbatl...
He shouldn't beat him on paper, should he?
No, nobody should beat Benbatl if Benbatl is at his best. Right. But he's 7. And I'm getting a double figure price about a horse who I do think can beat the others.
Yeah,
and that is
James Doyle's interesting, isn't he? On him, might just make his mind up from stall.
Well, hopefully he'll get a good position. I don't want him getting into a front runner's battle with Benbatl though, because
Well, he's not going to do that surely. But we're all jumping off horses. Then value theory, I'm still on. You've jumped on the hazardous Duke. I have jumped on.
I mean, it's one of those. End of the day, if you could guarantee that Benbatl was best, you say, what on earth is he doing 5 to 2? Because he should be 2 to 5.
Yeah, okay.
You can easily make a case for taking a chance at 5 to 2.
All right, okay. Pat Cooney, tell us what sort of price we're going to get about Benbatl. I've seen around about 5 to 2. I suppose that's on the lengthy absence. That's it, isn't it?
Yeah, well, he's 5 to 2 at the moment. But you do look at his overall CV. I mean, I thought he was an unlucky loser at the Epsom Derby when he ran in it. He's mixed it with them all. Look, Roaring Lion, Winks, King of Comedy, Maximum Security, high-class American horse.
King of Comedy in there.
Okay, I deleted one, but no other horse in this race has got his CV. You do look at it and think, but he hasn't run for 11 months. Well, as Keel's just said, he's won first time out for the last 4 years. We're not going to get him beat on freshness and so forth. So it's one of those horses you start off trying to oppose and you keep coming back to. Likely winner, and I think the public will latch onto him in a big way, and I think he'll go off shorter.
I mean, amazingly, and the viewers will go out there, what a weird image this is. Just put myself in Oisin's head there. I think I could just imagine Oisin sitting there in Newmarket going, what are you all complicating this for, you pundits and you tipsters out there? Yeah, as Oisin says, he's the best horse.
Score.
If he's right, he wins. 4 o'clock on Sunday. A treat for you then, as we go further into our big race previews. It is the Supreme Stakes at Goodwood, 7 furlongs, Group 3. 22 runners at the 48-hour deck stage, and would you believe it, 6 have turned up. Why is that, Kills?
Well, it's quite obvious, really, isn't it? I mean, it's just a ridiculous race planning. I mean, from the track itself, we have the Celebration Mile on the Saturday and the Supreme Stakes on the Sunday. And there were 22 in the Supreme Stakes at the 5-day, but half of them were in the Celebration Mile.
Duke of Hazard, etc.
You've got, and a couple of them were in a big handicap as well, over 7 furlongs as well, because you've got to remember, you're talking below Group 1 standard horses. I think Escobar running in a handicap. So what is the point? Why have these 2 races so close together? You're going to attract the same ones. The average number of runners in both races. Okay, the Celebration Mile's actually held up this year, but the average number of runners is under 7.
So totally the wrong point.
It's just totally it's pointless. I mean, when I actually looked at the decks for the Celebration Mile, I thought, well, it might hold up a little bit better than normal, but no, it hasn't. So you've got a 6-runner race, which isn't all that interesting. I would head towards Toro's Strike just about. Thought he didn't run badly on soft ground here last time as a 50 to 1 shot.
We've got some track specialists because Onassis ran really well at the course last time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Roscoelan loves it there.
Roscoelan's very,
Will he go off fab, do you think?
Well, he might do. I think Tactical is the one that could, but you've got to trust her to bounce back.
Yeah. With Oisin riding. Okay, Pat Cooney, you've had a little look at this double or bubble in there as well. For Chris Wall, very progressive horse. Who wins?
Yeah, it's a head scratcher, this one, isn't it? Tactical, you'd say, has probably got the most leading claims, and Blinker's first time. I don't know if that's a positive or an act of desperation, really. He's been disappointed in the last few runs. I suppose Ross Colin might go well. I thought he was an unlucky loser at the Unibet Golden Mile. With Oisin up, he maybe should have won that day. He's got course form. There's only 6 runners. I probably need 2 or 3 cracks at this one, though.
Okay, yeah, I like Onassis. I've got a feeling that Roscoe might just come out on top. Look, Oisin back, of course, riding for boarding on tactical.
I mean, Happy Power won the race last year. Once in the Celebration Mile, it doesn't stay a mile.
It could have been. It was a bit of an open goal this for him.
Wasn't it? Yeah, he won the race last year. I think Torres Strike was second.
Yeah.
So he'd be the one for me. But
there's a group race on a Sunday, but we're scratching our heads. Okay. Nap time here on What a Shout. What a show it's been so far. And what a weekend it'll be if Dave Orton gets a win out of solid stone. Also, I keep trumpeting all along, but 6:30, small field. It's the scene of his win. He wants a mile 2 in the Sovereign Stakes at Salisbury last time. He looked like he was going to get swallowed up. He kept coming. If only there was a tiny bit of rain around, it would be an absolute nap time for me. Solid stone.
He was nap for me dropping back to that trip at Salisbury last time and to see him get outpaced and run on again. Yeah. But he did stick his head down, didn't he?
Deserves it.
He's a game horse. He deserves to win. Yeah, I could definitely see that. You ain't going to get much of a price, obviously, and you're not going to get much of a price about mine, but Oratus in the 225 at Goodwood is a horse I would say back until beaten. I thought he won very easily at Newbury last time. That was handicap debut. Okay, not the wide margins that he'd won his previous 2 races, but he was beating a horse who was on a hat-trick and had won a wide margin before, and she closed enough so the handicapper couldn't hit him, and he's only gone up £4. Has trap 1, 2. I can't remember what it is now. I mean, the trainer's thrown a bit of a wobbly. Clive Cox, who's run the second favourite, Dance Fever, who's got that good runner.
Ordinarily, he might be Fav in this.
Ascot, but beaten Fav last time and hung at Doncaster last time. Hung right, so makes you worry what's he going to make of Goodwood if you're hanging right. But I think Oratus is a tidy little animal. Going places.
I was going to say going places. You've given an ITV race, okay, at Goodwood. I've given the viewers something nice for the evening, nice Group 3, a winner there. Where's Pat Cooney going?
Cartmel.
I'm going off to Redcar for the 6:10 now.
I knew it.
Wasn't far off.
I knew it.
Cast your mind back to when William Haggis was on this show back in mid-May. And I asked him if he had horses who he thought might be ones for Australia at the end of the year for the big money purses down there. And he said he'd hope Irish Admiral might make the breakthrough and be one to consider for a team going down there with the likes of a Dave. Now, it hasn't worked out. He's been a real cliff of a
It definitely hasn't worked out if he's a Redcar, Pat.
He's going in the opposite direction, isn't he? Australia down under, and he's going up to Redcar. But he's now in a Class 3. Now, it's not normally my thing to go for horses that are disappointing and on the way down and so forth. But he's now in a Class 3. He's got Adam Farrow claiming 5. Now, the ball hasn't bounced this fella's way since coming over from Ireland just yet. But he's a talented rider, claiming 5. I think that's gold dust with him. I really do. He's now in a Class 3. Melbourne seems a long, long way away at the moment with this horse. So let's hope he can get back in business at Redcar in the 6:10.
There you go. For Mr. Haggis' top fan, Pat Cooney, I can tell you that much. He does like napping a Haggis horse, doesn't he? And of course, there's great racing at Cartmel. There's great racing at Redcar, and Irish Admiral brings a bit of class as well. Well, there you go. 3 weekend winners. Time to sign off then on this weekend's What a Shout. Have you enjoyed having Oisin Murphy on? We certainly have. Oisin, thanks for taking time. I know it's a day off, but you're a busy man. Probably going to pop over some eventing polls later as well, are you?
Yeah, I've got a show jumping lesson this evening, so I'll keep busy.
Oisin, whatever you've been doing, keep it up. Whatever you've been having for breakfast, those Weetabix, add an extra one on. We can't wait to see you on weekend. Good luck with Benbatl and the rest.
Thanks very much, guys.
Absolutely amazing. Paul Kealy, you'll be back next week, of course. We've got more to come from you. We're building up St Ledger, but you're nice and I can tell you've got a bit of confidence about you this weekend.
Yeah, I fancy a few. It doesn't always work, but I think I'm on it.
Well, thanks to Paul Kealy. Thanks to Pat Cooney. Pat Cooney, can't wait to see you in the studio next week.
Yes, thanks very much. So looking forward to being on the show. I think I'll just start off with a full English and a pot of tea just to get me going. So looking forward to the hospitality.
Something tells me you won't even make it to the start. All right, I've been Dave Orton. Thanks for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. Don't forget, please gamble responsibly this weekend. So much racing out there. Pick your targets. Don't forget, of course, to download the free must-have Racing Post app. You can do that on the App Store or the Google Play Store itself. There's loads of it out there, as I've said. Make sure you enjoy that sport.